This week on Business Mike, the business of writing. My guest today is Faith Kisa. She's a Ugandan children's book writer. In this episode, I chat with Faith about the process of publishing a book right from inception all the way to having it on Amazon. We also discuss the challenges involved as well as remedies and solutions for any upcoming writers. All this and more next on Business Mike.
You're listening to the Business Mike podcast, amazing interviews with inspiring entrepreneurs. For more amazing interviews, go to www.businessmike.com or download our podcast every Monday from Pod Africa.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Mike. My name is Daudi Mugabi and joining me today is Faith Kisa. For the listeners that don't know who you are, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you, David. Hey, my name is Faith Kisa. I would describe myself as a concept developer, an author, and an illustrator. Right now, I'm working on a children's brand it's like an edutainment brand that helps children deal with everyday challenges of growing up, like bullying, family relationships, making friends, low esteem, things that generally kids face growing up. Yeah. So my book out right now is called The Soup Monster. It's live on Amazon and it's going for just below $3. It's about a girl and how she discovers that the reason why she's acting like a monster is because her mom does not have time for her. And the story revolves around how the mom solves that. Then my next book that's coming out is called Kami's Monster Fish. It's about a girl and she kind of learns why she shouldn't bully other children. So yeah, that's basically what I'm working on. Right now I have the books that's ebooks, but I'm planning to go into print pretty soon. Yes.
Right. And what inspired you to, number one, work on a children's brand? Out of everything you could have done as an illustrator, you chose children's subject matter. And then what was it like going through the process, especially to get a book on Amazon? There are many people I know who are listening who want to become authors, but they have no idea what to do, the steps to take to create and promote a book.
What inspired me to begin with to do a children's brand is, like as an artist, you kind of have to look at your strengths, right? And from the time I was really little, I loved drawing cartoons and writing stories because my aunt used to make us write stories about what we are going through, but in a more imaginative way. Yeah. So she's like, oh, so what did you go through today? I met this lady. She wanted you to exaggerate it, build like a real world around it and draw characters. So I think my background growing up doing that. And also as a child, obviously, I faced these different things, bullying, trying to make friends. Things were hard. So when I grew up and some of those things still kind of affected me, I think turning to writing those stories from childhood actually really gave me a different outlook. So I was like, oh, I think I can really help kids by writing this category of books. Yeah, that was my inspiration. Then for the writers who want to join Amazon, it's actually a very simple step. Like first and foremost, you need to have like a credit card. Yeah. So your details are entered into the system. Then you go to Kindle self-publishing. Yeah, it's called Kindle self-publishing. And you enter all your details. You have to have a TIN number. You have to also be really good at writing. So that means good grammar. And then if you want a children's book, you need to get someone who can illustrate. But if you can do it yourself, if you're confident that you can write well and you can also illustrate, you just do everything on your own, like myself. Yeah. And then go to Kindle Direct Publishing, upload it, put in your bank details, put in your TIN number, and then that's it. And your address really, and your post office number, yeah. Because usually if you stay in Africa, they mostly pay you by check, so yeah.
Right now, obviously being on Amazon and being Ugandan, I'm sure there's a challenge on your part with regards to connecting to the local audience. Are there any hurdles you've faced getting people to buy your book, especially when you consider the fact that they need credit cards? That seems to be an issue that comes up.
Definitely. That has been my biggest problem, actually, marketing in Uganda. Most of my sales so far have come from the US, then UK. Uganda, not so much, actually. Maybe less than 1%. Okay, not 1%, like less than 10%. So most of the complaints I've been getting is, I don't have a credit card. Can I use mobile money to do all these things? So that, instead of looking at it as an issue, it has actually inspired something. Like when I went to school too, as people were asking for print, everyone is asking for print. They're really interested in the book. The kids loved it and everything. So now I'm like, oh, I realized that I can actually get a new revenue stream, which is doing the print book. That's not what I'd set out to do, but I'm like, there's an opportunity here. So I want to do the print copies, and I've looked at it as another window instead of like a disadvantage. But yeah, it has been really difficult trying to promote it as an ebook to Ugandans. But they love the concept. They love what I'm doing. They're willing to give me a chance if I can get it out there in print. So right now I'm mobilizing resources to get the print, and also to get a website where I can do a localized interactive system where people can download the books, maybe pay through mobile money or M-Pesa, bring it to the market, make it more localized.
And what about the international audience, those that actually can't buy the book from Amazon easily? How do you go about promoting your book to them? Because this is an African story, not necessarily a Ugandan one. So there are other people out there who can access it. How do you promote it outside Uganda?
The way I've been promoting it has been through Facebook ads. So, with Facebook ads, you can choose who to target. You can be like, oh, I'm targeting Jamaicans, or I'm targeting Americans. So that's how I've been doing it. And the way I've been addressing it, at first I was like, I'm doing African stories. Then I noticed it's actually not really only an African story. It's for every black child out there in the community, because I noticed that there's not enough content tailored towards us and targeting us. Most of it is too Caucasian. I mean, if you look at the popular stories for children, Dora the Explorer, that's a Latin lady. If you look at, let's say, Sleeping Beauty is like a blonde lady and she's white. Most of the stories are targeting those specific races. So I'm like, this actually every black child, no matter where they are, can read this. And I've found that is true, because when I look at Amazon and the people who are buying it, a lot of people are buying it, not only black people, but it seems like other people are also interested to hear what we have to say. So I think that the fact that all my characters are black, they have African names, the setting is different, people want something different these days. So when they look at the content and the design, they're like, okay, this is an interesting story, and they want to try it out.
Oh, well, I had the team from Creatures on the last podcast, and there's a question I asked them, which I want to pose to you as well. You're creating material for children. So what kind of mindset do you go through to write a story that will keep them engaged? How do you, can I say, separate yourself as an adult from a child? How do you know that this is something someone young will be entertained by?
Okay, I really think that in order to know that question and answer it, like to apply it, you kind of have to remove yourself from being an adult and become a child again. You know what I mean? So when I'm writing, I write from my childhood. The Soup Monster is actually based on my childhood. I remove myself from, okay, Faith, you're now an adult looking at what kids are going through. I write through my own experience and what I went through. So it's really personal, and it's young Faith. So I know, and when I talk to the children, it's something that the children have gone through as well, and they can really relate to it. So I'm not looking at it from an adult angle. If you look at it like, oh my God, I'm an adult trying to help children, you can't get to, you can't get to the children. You have to remove yourself from there and become them. Basically.
And when you're writing a book, I myself wanted to write a children's book, surprisingly, something I'll do later on this year. But as I was doing my research, I realized many people pointing out the fact that it's difficult because you have to write very little that says a lot. So you have to be very, very careful with the words you use, such that they aren't too wordy and that they actually carry the message across, and that they move a story along with every sentence. There can never be a redundant sentence there. So from a writer's perspective, you said that you're an illustrator. I don't know whether your strength were writing, illustrating, whether you had to improve on one or the other. How did you put together all these skill sets to produce the book in the end?
As I mentioned earlier, I feel like when I was growing up, my auntie always made us write stories based on what we were going through. We didn't only write, we actually had to illustrate. And when we illustrated something that was very basic, she'd be like, no, where's the imagination? So I think I grew up with that mindset. When I'm writing a story, I have to think of the character. How will the character look and things like that? So I feel like I developed both skill sets at the same time. But my biggest challenge was I always wrote very dark stories, and I had to learn how to tone it down. Even my character designs were usually very dark. I tended to go dark, but I'm like, oh, now something more child-friendly. Because even my stories, when people hear the Soup Monster, Kiki's Monster Collection, that's the name of the brand. Is it dark? I'm like, actually, it's not. It's a metaphor for the challenges that we go through. Yeah. So I feel like it's something I developed at the same time. Yeah.
And on average, how long does this whole journey take? Because there are people out there who are listening to this. They may assume that it's maybe a 1 month process, 2 months. But from your experience, how long does it take to have an idea and then at long last have that thing on Amazon as a final product?
My first book, to get everything out on Amazon, took me a month. Yeah. But the biggest challenge... No, 6 weeks, sorry. Yeah. But the biggest challenge was trying to market it as an ebook. That's why it has taken long for the next book to come out. Marketing the ebook was kind of, you learn. Yeah. I'm like, oh, now I have to change the direction and do like print. Then now you notice print is also really expensive and you need to mobilize like resources and everything. So I feel like that's what has taken so long. But if everything is constant, you have a person who's going to fund the printing, a person who's going to fund your marketing. You have a team, let's say, of people, and you're just concentrating on producing the content. I feel like you can literally produce something. You can produce a book every month if you have the imagination, obviously, and you have your lineup. Because I have my lineup for the whole year. Yeah, of the stories and everything. Yeah, but now I had to factor in all these different things. How do I market? How do I get it out there? Try to build a team around. Yeah.
So what you're saying is the advice you'd give people is to maybe look at their idea holistically. In other words, don't just concentrate on the story, but there's so many other elements that come in, like the marketing. Will it be print? Will it be audio? Will it be visual? On what channels and so on and so forth. And would you advise them to bring on experts, maybe outsource experts, or are these things that you could learn yourself if you went on Google or YouTube and so on, at least for your first project?
I feel like with creativity, you might not really need experts. There's a way sometimes experts are very rigid. So I feel like it's really, really good to get a fresh perspective from a lot of young people. Ugandans are very creative and talented. And when you put them together, right, sometimes they may not even need money immediately and you're just like partnering. But experts, I think that's a very expensive cost for the beginning. So I really advise you, if you can't pay for an expert, you should. But if you have, like, use the resources you have. I happen to have a friend who's a really good writer. So we edit together. Then illustration, he kind of consult as well. And he's like, oh, this is more expressive. This is not. Yeah, things like that. But the holistic thing, yeah, people need to look at the thing in a whole. Yeah.
360. And before you started, you mentioned obviously that you're already creative, but are there any stories out there that you looked at for some sort of inspiration?
Definitely. I think my biggest inspiration so far is Roald Dahl. I also really love Tim Burton, yeah, though he's a bit on the darker side. I also love J.K. Rowling a lot. And Dr. Seuss, yeah.
Right. So what advice would you give someone that's starting out right now, someone who wants to write a book right now? What key things do they need to consider or put in place at the very beginning that will save them a lot of trouble down the road?
For someone who needs to write right now, I think that the biggest advice that I would give them is to first kind of look at the resources that you have, right? Because after writing, there's another stage of like promoting the book and stuff. So form like really strong partnerships that help complement your team. Like, oh, I have a friend who's really good at editing. I have a friend who can maybe illustrate. I have a friend who can market, and come together, come up with good marketing strategies for the book. And then you develop the content. And so it doesn't delay the process basically. And you can all, the book can come out fast. So like now me who can write and illustrate at the same time, but I'm also the concept developer. I'm developing the concepts. It becomes actually hard to do the entire process. So I would advise if someone is in my situation, like, okay, if you choose like, which one are you going to do? I'll do the concept development, and I'll do the character development and the writing. Then I'll have someone who will illustrate the whole book. There's a difference between the concept development and the character development and illustrating. The illustrator just does already what you've given them. Yeah. So it's faster. Then I'll also hire marketing personnel, both social media and online. So I just concentrate on the creative work, and I have this other person helping me push the brand. So there's more, so you can work at full capacity. Yeah.
Okay. And at the stage where you are right now, what's the plan for Kiki's Monster Collection? And I didn't ask before, but what's Kiki? Why that name? Is it?
Okay. So my name is Kisa. Yeah. And I wanted something more childish sounding. That's why I called it Kiki. It's a repetition. Yeah. Also, my favorite nephew in the world is called Kiki. So it's Kiki's Monster Collection. Monster really stands for like the challenges that we face. Like some people call them like struggles, demons, all those different things. But for me, I feel like if they shouldn't be so mystical. You get what I mean? It's just a monster. You know, a monster can be anything. So kids can easily relate to it, and I feel like it's something that shouldn't be taken so seriously, and I feel like monsters are not that serious. So it's like monster, they're just challenges. I'm giving them a face, like how do I fight them, how do I face them, basically. Yeah, so that's where the monster comes from. And collection, because it's a collection of stories, it's not just one. Yeah, it's a bunch of different experiences. Yeah, right now I have 1 book out and 2 books that I'm working on. My lineup for the year actually is doing at least 5 books, 5 picture books, 5 audio books of the same titles. Then I wanted to also do merchandise at the same time for some of the really popular ones. Yeah. And then also I wanted to do like activity books that can complement the book, because I'm trying to build a 360 brand. So what are the activity books, like coloring books and stuff like that? Yeah. Outside of Kiki's Monster Collection, I'm also developing a different, still children's brand. It's an interactive learning curriculum for children, and yeah, it's more adventure and it's really fun. So it should be out by media this year. Yeah. And then also I'm doing some voice acting. The voice of the character Amia in The Color When I Ate My Homework.
Oh.
Yeah.
And actually, I had the team from Creatures on in the last episode. So from the voice acting experience, is that something you've been doing before, or did you have to learn at the moment?
It's something that I hadn't really thought about doing till I went to the university, because that lecturers found my voice very interesting. And then also my friend Raymond found my voice very interesting. So then I was like, okay, maybe people find my voice interesting, so I'll do it. But it's something I'd never thought about doing. But people have always commented that I'm such a cartoon. Yeah.
Right. If you were cast away to a desert island by yourself, and you could only take one of each, what book would you take with you? What movie would you take with you? And what song would you take with you?
Okay. If I was cast away on a desert island, the book that I'd take is Amelia Bedelia. The entire series, I loved reading that book. It's about an upside-down maid who does opposites. And then for movie, it's definitely Shrek. And then, 1 and 2. And then, for song, let me say anything for
Well, if anyone listening to this wants to maybe get in touch with you, learn more about Kiki's Monsters Collection, how can they connect with you on the internet? So maybe social media, Facebook, website, email, anything.
Google me. I'm kidding. Okay. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm definitely on Facebook with my name, Faith Kisa. I also have an author profile on Amazon, Faith Kisa. My book is also on Amazon, The Soup Monster, right? You can also Google Kiki's Monster Collection, The Soup Monster, and you'll still find that. And then I also have a Facebook page. Right now it's called The Soup Monster, but we are soon changing it to Kiki's Monster Collection, because it's going to be having the whole collection of books. Yeah, started calling it the Soup Monster because that was the book I was out at the moment. Yeah, but now people are getting to know Kiki's Monster collection more than the Soup Monster, so now I have to change it. Yeah, so that's how you can get me right now. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Faith, for taking the time to share your story. I'm sure you've inspired some of the people listening that might be interested in writing a book, myself inclusive. So we wish you all the very best with Kiki's Monster collection, and thank you so much once again.
Thank you for inviting me to Daudi.
Thanks for listening to the Business Mike podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to listen to more episodes just like this one, simply go to businessmike.com. I would love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions or feedback, you can reach me on Twitter at Daudi Mugabe, on Facebook at Business Mike, or email, that's daudi@businessmike.com. Don't forget, we have a brand new episode every Monday. And until then, take care.